Quality Housing Mobile Studio at Shenanigans Restaurant in Dover with Big Z Sports.
Could not ask for a better evening here for another Battle Motors Extra Point Show. Nick McWilliams, Shannon Thomas joining you along the way as we'll be discussing the Conotton Valley Rockets, of course, live from Shenanigans in Dover. And Shannon, you know, when I got here, I kind of had a late lunch. I wasn't overly hungry. Then I came back here and we got ready for the show, and I started smelling that grill, and I'm thinking I might have to change my mind on that one.
Yeah, it's very good. I went ahead and ate my dinner already and got the steak hoagie with fries. And if you're looking for a good sandwich and fries, you need to stop out here to Shenanigans and get you a bite to eat.
Also, speaking of Shenanigans, Adam Soweski said we had to make sure that we made sure everybody was aware of this, but all football season long on Friday nights, remember, Shenanigans open, where the grill is open until midnight, Shannon. So no matter where you are in the area, if you're going to be heading out after a game, you can come right down to Shenanigans in Dover and grab a bite to eat on the way home.
Yeah, you know, when you have football fans that like to sponsor things like this, and then you find out they're open until midnight, you're going to have to change my drives on the way home now to get a sandwich.
You're going to be driving a little bit out of your way, I think, most of the time if you're going to be coming over this way.
Yeah, well, last Friday night, if I'd have knew it a week earlier that they was open until midnight, I would have been here, but I just drove right by them and went home.
Well, now we know they are open until midnight, so go ahead and come on down and see the fine people at Shenanigans for a meal after a game on Friday nights. But, of course, our main focus here tonight, the Conotton Valley Rockets. We will be talking later on here with head coach Don Hertler Jr., some of the Conotton Valley faces you'll definitely be recognizing, and, of course, athletic director Jonathan Stuck. We're going to be talking all things Rockets. Shannon, you know, you're normally our Indian Valley guy. We're switching up the valleys that you're on tonight.
Well, all those valleys are connected somehow. There's a road that goes between all of them back and forth.
They are. Of course, Conotton Valley, so far this season, 0-3, not quite off to the start that they hoped they would be at, but, you know, week 1 and week 2, only 1-point losses, some tough things there. And then, of course, last week, you know, the emergence of Newcomerstown running back Bunk Millender. Just some tough luck for Conotton Valley.
Yeah, you know, those first 2 games, the first one was a shootout with Tuslaw, I believe, and they lost that game in overtime on a drop pass for a 2-point conversion. Then the next week it was kind of a defensive battle and dropped that one by 1 point, 21-20. And then last week it was back to a shootout again, and Bunk Millender just went off. Like he scored from 60 yards, I think, twice, and this and that, and they just had trouble containing him.
They did, but we know if anyone's going to get that ship righted, it, of course, is going to be Coach Hertler. You know, we've talked to him various different times. Always enjoyable to have him on and just get his insight, and that's what you'd expect out of somebody with such a long coaching career. Yeah,
you know, he's a legend in the state of Ohio. He's in the Hall of Fame. And just he'll get those kids turned around. You a couple tough games like that, and the mindset you go into those tough games. You hate to say you learn from losses, but they'll grow from those and they'll move on and get ready for the schedule.
Absolutely, Shannon. Well, we'll catch up with Coach Hertler here before too long. We'll also catch up with, as I mentioned, athletic director Jonathan Stuck. Of course, this is the Battle Motors Extra Point Show live from Shenanigans. Don't go anywhere. We are going to come right back and talk a little bit more Rockets football and Rockets athletics. Stay tuned.
The Extra Point Show, built by Battle Motors, will be back after this break. Battle Motors, purpose-built, quality-driven.
How does a new career in an extremely high-demand field sound to you? Well, the former Crane Carrier Company in New Philadelphia is now Battle Motors. Battle Motors is expanding rapidly for their all-new heavy-duty electric truck production. Battle Motors has immediate openings for assemblers, electrical technicians, painters, blasters, as well as numerous engineering and design positions. If you're interested in a great career opportunity, apply online at battlemotors.com/careers.
Extra Point Show live from Shenanigans in Dover. Nick McWilliams, Shannon Thomas here talking some Conotton Valley Rockets football. Up first, though, we want to talk with Athletic Director Jonathan Stuck. And, Jonathan, real happy to have you on the show. And, in kind of still a relatively new role for you, correct?
Yeah, I took over Game 2 last year.
Game 2, so definitely new.
Yes, sir.
So far, everything going well? Enjoying it so far?
Yeah, it's going great. We're really lucky to have some nice facilities over at Conotton. Before we start, I want to thank you guys for covering us this year. Sometimes out in Conotton Valley, we get lost in the weeds, and it's really nice to have Jay Caldwell as our stringer and you guys covering Conotton Valley athletics this year.
Well, we've greatly enjoyed it. It's an exciting thing to see some Rockets football. We've talked about this before, Shannon, with when we saw Coach Hertler coming in from all the history that he's had coming to Conotton Valley. We expected some real big things, last year, the 5-5 finish. This year, a little bit rockier of a start, but still plenty to be excited about.
Oh, they got all kinds of things out there Conotton Valley to be excited about. With all that stuff being built and added on out there, it just makes the kids excited. It makes them want some more, and it makes them compete more. Do you feel that the numbers in the athletic departments are coming up with kids coming out for sports?
We're having some increase in numbers. I think we could always use more kids doing sports. I think that's one of the unique things is we're one of this volleyball. Some of those kids are doing that and have band on top of it. So, we just got a lot of kids doing a lot of things out there. But I would say that we've had a rocky start according to what it looks like, 0-3. But, we played Tussle High School, a Division V school. And, they have probably more kids in one class than we have in the entire high school. And then we played Malvern, who's a great Malvern team. And like you guys mentioned earlier, both just 1-point losses.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right on that. And I was going to ask, with that being one of the smallest districts, especially around this area, what are some of the challenges that kind of go into that sometimes with the athletics? You mentioned kids playing multiple sports, but sometimes with scheduling, I'm sure that can be a problem.
Yeah, scheduling's an issue with it. You want to balance and make sure kids have the opportunity to do as many things as they can. But we also have, like I said, we have golfers. They golfed last night, and they did a great job. We'll wait for this light probably to go on, but the people in the radio probably didn't know a light just fell over. So we have golfers who are playing football. And Gage Gallagher, for instance, Justin Lambert are two of our top golfers and also two of our top football players. So this week they'll be missing football 2 days to go play golf. And so that's definitely a challenge for our coaching staff. But we work through it because we want to allow these kids to have as many opportunities as possible.
Well, and I'm sure that's something that we've heard that from a lot of different coaches, a lot of different schools. Having these athletes compete in multiple sports always can be a benefit.
Right. I think so. I think the more we do, the better human beings we're creating for life.
Yeah, and now with the addition to the football playoffs, does that help your schedule now a little bit more? Because now you don't have to worry about making a schedule to help you get into the playoffs because you can take a couple losses, like you said, against a D5 or D4 team, and then the football team still has a shot at getting in the playoffs.
It definitely has its advantages. However, we just moved up to that northeast type region this year, so we're in Region 25 this year, and we've been in Region 27. So we're competing more of those Stark County schools to get into those playoffs. If you look at Region 25, I think Strasburg's in it too. There's like 32 teams you're competing against to be the 16 up there, as opposed to 27, which only has 25 or 26 teams to get in that top 16. But we always want to try and get the first home playoff game and definitely the first home playoff win. I guess we technically had that the COVID year, but that doesn't feel as real as to get someone on our turf and get that first win on our turf and actually have the real win.
And that's what I kind of almost leads me into what I wanted to ask you about. You said you came in last season, still some kind of weird things that were happening last season. Obviously before that, even worse, as you mentioned, with the pandemic. Now a little bit more regular, a little bit things just going back to more normal operations. Does it feel a little bit better seeing that stuff kind of just work as it's supposed to, I guess you could say?
I would say 100%. My first home game was the Newcomerstown game, 5 minutes before kickoff. I had to walk out in the middle of the field and tell the legendary Don Hertler and Coach Gadd from Newcomerstown, "Hey guys, game's off." And they're like, "What?" And I go, "Yeah, we're not playing tonight."
Oh boy.
So yeah, first day on the job type thing doing that. It feels a lot better now.
Good. Well, we're definitely happy to see it, Shannon.
Yeah, and some of the improvements going out there, everybody knows about the Rocket Center, but another big improvement out there was that brand new scoreboard at the football field. How's that working out for you?
That new scoreboard is gorgeous. We're very fortunate out there, as you mentioned, the Rocket Center, our facilities, to have a supportive Board of Education who supports our student athletes and all of our students in general in academics and all that. and administration. That scoreboard's nice. It's a Daktronics board. It's 24 foot by 14 foot. We can put ads up on it. It's like a giant video TV screen, so that's really nice.
Definitely, and we got to go out there for our two-a-day session as we talked to Coach Hertler and got to see some of the athletes. And, that's something that I know you guys have focused on so much over the past couple years, or for a while, really, just making sure all the facilities are as nice as you could possibly make them, and it's just a gorgeous place out there.
Yeah, I think that's definitely key. We want people to have a good experience when they come out to our place. We want to be gracious, good hosts to them. We want everyone to have an enjoyable experience. And most importantly, we want these student athletes to have the best they can have while they're in high school. You mentioned the Rocket Center. We have a state-of-the-art brand new gym. I can't wait for people to see. I know you're going to ask me this. You're going to ask, so when are we going to get in the Rocket Center? I mean, I know that's going to be a question. And the good news is, as of last week, we got partial temporary occupancy. And that's a bunch of fancy ways to say I can have 30 people in there during daylight. And so our volleyball team is practicing in there. And just today, our bowling team went in and threw their first balls in there. Our football team can get in and start using the weight room. I can't open it for events yet, which is frustrating. I mean, it's frustrating for me as much as it is you guys, because I don't know, it could open a week, it could open 2 weeks, who knows, and then we have to plan for all that. So we're really excited that we have that partial temporary occupancy now, though.
So how much of a challenge was it last year? Because I believe that you were playing your basketball games over at the Huggins camp?
That was 2 years ago. We moved back home last year, but we did rent Huggins camp for practices, so we would have that facility still. We're very gracious to have that in our backyard, too. But we played our games in our gym last year. But 2 years ago, we did play them at Huggins, and that was definitely it didn't feel like high school sports there. It wasn't our home.
Yeah.
And you mentioned some of the things, or we've talked about it for whether it was you or whether it was pretty much anybody who's involved with Conotton Valley. Run us through some of the highlights of that Rocket Center. I mean, I've been told so many times about how state-of-the-art and nice it's going to be, and it always seems like that list is growing.
Well, I mean, it's gorgeous. So we have a full-size basketball court, and for those of you who are like, well, doesn't everyone have a full-size basketball court? A full-size court's 94 foot. Our current court's like 60-some foot. So we're going to get a full-size without a restraining line. And a lot of people haven't seen that restraining line in years. Volleyball, the ceiling's tall, so we're not going to be hitting off the ceiling, which we're used to now. We have a 10-lane bowling alley. We have a weight room. We have a fitness center. There's a walking track. The admin offices are moving over there. And we moved our preschool over into that building. And there's plenty of room for expansion still.
Shannon, I don't know about you, but I don't remember being in high school and having something quite like that.
Not in this area. And I think the biggest plus to that is it's not just for the high school. It's for the community. There's a lot of things going on at that place that revolves around the community.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. Our community has supported us for so many years through thick and thin. This is our way to help support our community and add to the community. I mean, obviously our students definitely benefit from it, but I think Conotton Valley as a whole benefits from it more.
Now, we talked a little bit about football. I wanted to mention some of the other fall sports going on right now. Of course, golf in full swing, volleyball, as you mentioned, being in there as well. So just tell me a little bit about some of the Rockets athletics going on, what people can come out to support Conotton Valley with.
Great. We moved our home golf course to Carroll Meadows this year. Our golf team's seen increased numbers. We have a junior high golf team starting up this year. They're experiencing some success. Our senior golfers, Gage Gallagher and Justin Lambert, as I mentioned, dual sport athletes. Volleyball's a really good team this year. They're 5-3, but that record's a little deceiving because they're 5-3, but we beat Indian Valley, we beat Ridgewood. Our losses are twice to Caldwell and once to a very young but very good Buckeye Trail team. And then we have 5 seniors leading that team. Jordan Braun, Kira Turek, Chloe Stuber, Daphne Stuber, and Katie Shar. And then we have a pretty good cross-country team right now. We have Evan Seidel is one of the top in the IVC for these cross-country races. So a lot. So just again, it's what you always talk about, or what people always talk about. You always want to just keep growing your programs and improving. So it sounds like a lot of fun stuff going on out there in Rocket Country. Yeah, we have a lot of good things. We talked about facilities. I mean, I don't know if you guys know, but we're also turfing our baseball and softball field.
Yes.
So, I mean, we're going to have a destination for facilities. We love hosting people, and we love having you guys out. Bill Love did tell me to say that when the Rock Center does open, I believe you promised him that you would be there.
Oh, that I promised him specifically.
I think it was you specifically.
It might have been me, yes.
That you'd be there to make sure we put that on the air.
Oh, we'll definitely have something with that. I can almost promise that. Shannon?
Yeah, and I had a question and I got lost there when you said Bill Love, because Bill Love treated me so well when he was in Indian Valley.
He's a great guy.
He's a really good guy. But who helps you with the middle school stuff? Are you in charge of all the middle school stuff, or do you have a middle school AD that helps you out?
Jeremy Ady's the assistant AD, but I cover the majority of the middle school stuff as well. So my job out at Conotton Valley is I'm the athletic director and I'm the technology integration specialist. So I am one of the two people who does all the IT stuff for the district, and then I do high school and middle school sports. I do the scheduling, I do most of the game coverage in that. But Jeremy Ady, our basketball coach, helps out with that, and the administration helps out with that if I need someone to cover a game or two.
Always
and
nice
Bill Love is obviously a great resource and someone I rely on a lot.
Yeah, it's always nice to have a good team around you to help make sure all events go off, without any problems.
For sure.
All right, well, Jonathan, thank you so much for your time, for joining us for the Battle Motors Extra Point Show. Always great to talk some Conotton Valley stuff, and a lot of great insight that you're bringing as well.
Well, and I appreciate you guys covering Conotton sports.
That was Athletic Director for Conotton Valley, Jonathan Stuck. Don't go anywhere. Myself and Shannon Thomas will be back here in just a few moments, and we'll be talking with head coach for the Rockets football team, Don Hertler Jr. We'll be back after this.
The Extra Point Show, built by Battle Motors, will be back after this break. Battle Motors, purpose-built, quality-driven.
How does a new career in an extremely high-demand field sound to you? Well, the former Crane Carrier Company in New Philadelphia is now Battle Motors. Battle Motors is expanding rapidly for their all-new heavy-duty electric truck production. Battle Motors has immediate openings for assemblers, electrical technicians, painters, blasters, as well as numerous engineering and design positions. If you're interested in a great career opportunity, apply online at battlemotors.com/careers.
head coach for the Conotton Valley Rockets, Don Hertler Jr. And Coach, just talking off air there a little bit, always great having you on, always great insight. I mean, you've been doing this for quite a long time, so that's something we just come to expect.
Too long.
Too long.
Yep. No, it's going. Our kids really fought the first 2 weeks. Last week, at the end of the day, they kicked our tails. They wanted to win more than us, and we didn't play well. And we've got to bounce back this week at Strasburg. It's a rival game. I don't think we've beaten Strasburg 2 times in a row in probably 30 years. So we have something to shoot for tomorrow or Friday night, that's for sure.
And, I'm happy you mentioned that because I was just kind of, thinking the 0-3 start, not obviously what you guys wanted, but, sometimes you just need something to maybe light a little bit of a fire. And, that rivalry sense against the Strasburg team like this and that stat you just threw out there, that can be that extra incentive.
Right. I mean, we just want to play our football and play good football. The wins and losses come and go, but like I said, to go up to Tuslaw and do what we did and fight back, being 2 scores down in the fourth quarter in the opening week on the road, and then to take Malvern to the end also, and then last week, we didn't stop the run well, and they ran it on us, and we scored some points, but we gotta be able to force some punts and get some 3 and outs.
Yeah, Coach, those first 2 games were dogfights to the end.
Mm-hmm.
You lost one in overtime.
Double overtime. Yep.
And it could have very easily been a win. There was a drop pass everybody knows about. That was a heartbreaker because it was a shootout. And then you go back, like you said, another very good team in Malvern, 21-20, that you could have won that game. What was the difference between those 2 games compared to last week against Newcomerstown?
Well, first of all, a lot of woulda, coulda, shouldas. That's a Perry Reitz line that I learned when I played baseball for him in North Canton when I was 15, and it was the mental part. We were flat, and they played well. Give them credit. They played very well. They played harder than us. They played more physical than us, and all the things that we want to do as a program. They played together better than we played. So that's all on me. I got to do a better job in practice, and I got to do a better job getting kids ready for a Friday night, and I think we'll bounce back and give a great effort this week. I'd be really surprised with the way they've invested, the majority of them, and I'd be very surprised if we didn't come back and play very hard.
And Coach, I wanted to ask, because we mentioned about your long history of head coaching. An 0-3 start, everyone goes through that sometimes. Their coaches will see that throughout their entire career. Throughout your history leading these teams, what's kind of the key sometimes, or maybe there's no magic fix maybe to right the ship, but what is something that you see that's consistently the answer whenever you get to a start that you don't want?
I think it's pretty simple. You go back and you go to work, and you work harder. You can't pout and feel sorry for yourself. That's not real life. If you want to feel sorry for yourself, then we have issues, and no one's going to feel sorry for us, and I think people are respecting our program more now, to where they're preparing harder and playing harder against us, and I like that part of it. We just have to play our game and play better defense, and then continue to win the turnover battle.
Coach, you have a lot of young players. You do have some leaders, but one name that always comes up to me every week is your sophomore quarterback, and Zach Putnam. He's having a pretty good season here through 3 games.
Yeah, Zach, very accurate, very composed, and probably the one thing people don't realize about him is he is one tough kid. He doesn't flinch when he throws the ball. Malvern got after him pretty good first half, and he didn't waver at all. He didn't flinch at all second half, and he had a great second half. But, it still comes down to the guys up front blocking, guys making plays, in the passing game, and then Evan Rice and Gage Gallagher in the backfield. Most of the time. Evan really had a great first game, and maybe has dropped off a little bit. Just has to get back to being the same energetic Evan that we need, because he gives us that energy guy, and we sort of feed off of him. And if his body language is good and he's running hard and he's making plays on defense, then it makes a big difference in our team, and we need that out of him.
And Coach, he mentioned the youth there with Zach Putnam with being the sophomore, but I was impressed by freshman Cam Wright being the freshman and leading your team in receiving so far this year. We've seen him make a couple real nice plays in the end zone.
Yeah, we've got Damon Reardon, who's a senior who plays wide out. He's been fighting an ankle injury and starting to get back a little bit more 100%. And we have Brooks Bowers, who's a sophomore, who's made some good plays for us. Nolan Caldwell and Dave Haney at tight end and wide out have made a few plays. And then, as you said, Camden Wright's really made some good plays, and pretty mature freshman going 2 ways for us. And seems to get open at the X position. You know, if we can get people to double him, then that opens up everybody else. But he's done very well for a young guy. Now it's whether he can maintain and keep improving and hold up physically a little bit. You know, it's a big jump for a freshman to play varsity football.
And it's a big jump, and you got the physical side of it comes into effect. You know, so these freshmen, you know, do they need to really step it up in the weight rooms also in the off season? Because you're asking a lot of a freshman. People don't realize how fast this game is when you move to varsity. When you're an 8th grader and you step on the field as a freshman and you get hit one time, like, it brings you to reality real quick that you're not in middle school no more and you're not as good as you was.
Yeah, he's adjusted very well from day one. I mean, he's a good athlete. He has good football sense. He's very consistent. He didn't miss any time in the weight room in the summer. He was probably one of our best attendance guys, except for the 1 week he's on vacation, and everyone needs a week vacation at least. But I'd like to mention something that, you know, our program with our administration, they've done an unbelievable job getting me good assistant coaches. And, you know, I've got Chris Nine, who's in charge of our weight program, who's unbelievable with these young guys. And we're year-round lifting in every sport now. So it's through the day, and it's going to take time. But through that time, these kids are going to get stronger and become better athletes and stay more healthy. And also the rest of my staff is Curtis Love, who is at Tusky Valley, who's doing a great job for us. He brings an edge to our team. Like I said, Chris Nine, our defensive coordinator. And we've got Derek O'Hara from Claymont, who's just super organized and super into it and goes the extra mile to get things done. I couldn't be at practice today because of a health situation, and he ran the offense, had it scripted out, and when I showed up at the end of practice, he had done a great job running things, and I think they looked a lot better without me being there.
Well, maybe they were thinking, you know what, whenever Coach gets back, we got to make sure everything looks polished and ready to go. Maybe that's what it was.
Maybe that was. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Now, you know, we talked about this during two-a-days thing when we were out there in Bowerston. You know, sometimes being a smaller division school, you know, the numbers are not going to quite be there, and sometimes that makes it very, very difficult, and everybody kind of has to be all hands on deck. You know, you might be asked to do a lot of different things. We've seen that from Evan Rice, and I know you've probably done that with a lot of other Rockets players this year.
Most of our players are, if not two-way guys, they're also learning 2 defensive positions. Mm-hmm. Depends what package we're in, depends who's healthy. We haven't had Drake Mullins since the first quarter of Tuslaw, who's our Mike linebacker, and we're hoping to get him back pretty soon. And like I mentioned, Damon, so we've been missing a couple seniors who haven't been even close to 100%. So you just adjust to that. I mean, that's we're playing teams like that now. I think that was our disappointment last week, is that, you know, we looked like we were tired after a series, and they beat us to the punch. And so you learn those lessons, you watch the tape, you learn those lessons, and hopefully grow from that and build from that.
And also looking ahead to the rest of your schedule, you mentioned Strasburg, that kind of old-school rivalry game, I'll call it. Mm-hmm. And, you know, some of the other ones on here, Bridgeport, Caldwell, a playoff team from last year.
Bridgeport, I think, is 3-0 right now.
I do believe it is 3-0. Mm-hmm. As we mentioned, Caldwell, Frontier, Manchester, Steubenville, CC, and Weirton Madonna. So, you know, no, by any means, no cakewalk in this at all for Conotton Valley, but I'm sure as a coach with as much experience as you have, you almost don't want it to be that way. You got to see those players really get that drive to really want to earn these kind of wins.
Right. You know, kids win football games, and, you know, making plays and working together, and we have a challenge every week, as we know, and we can't just go through the motions and expect to win and expect to play well. And if we don't go through the motions and we play together, and we complement each other, and we get excited when guys do things in a positive way, then the game's pretty fun. But if not, it's a long night.
So what was your message after last week's, you know, game? Because I wasn't there, but I know that wasn't Conotton Valley football there. It kind of got away from you real quick there late in the second quarter into the third quarter, and it wasn't what Conotton Valley football was usually like. So what's your message after that game going into next week?
That we got beat physically up front. Missed over 40 tackles. And I don't think you're going to win many games if you miss 40 tackles. You score 44, you hope you win. And so our defense has to start forcing some punts. We are creating some turnovers, but we got to start forcing some punts and getting ahead of people to where we can get ahead and then get into our game and not be chasing from behind the whole time, which we've done really the first 3 weeks. So we've just got to do a better job of being more physical, tackling better, and staying with our blocks better.
Now, Coach, I know you had also mentioned from last week you guys did have 3 turnovers, but overall this year you guys have been pretty good when it comes to not making those kind of mental mistakes. What is it that you guys are doing this week in practice to try to kind of right that ship and make sure you don't have a repeat on that front?
I'm trying to think of our turnovers. I know one was...
I only had 4 listed here. I don't know if
all season?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have any at Tuslaw, which is pretty amazing because there were 170 snaps in that game, and there were 150 snaps against Malvern. So I won't let these guys know that, but that's a lot of snaps in 2 weeks, and then to come back and play a team that we didn't know a lot about because we didn't play them last year. And they've got a special running back over there, and Coach is doing a great job over there. And it was a very big game for them, and it should have been a big game for us, but we didn't play that way.
Now, on the breakdown for your team stats throughout the year, 627 passing yards, 559 on the ground. Very balanced attack. Has that been kind of the message, or that was what you guys wanted to do in this offseason, to try to make them honest on both sides?
Oh, absolutely. We always like to be balanced. We want to be able to run it when we want to run it and throw it when we want to throw it. Last week, they were bound and determined to take our tight end run game away, so we ended up throwing the ball a lot more, I felt, during the game, even though maybe the stats didn't come out that way. But we threw it very well. I mean, we threw for, 300 yards maybe?
Just about, yes.
Yeah. So, but that takes protection, and they got after a quarterback a couple times. But overall, our protection was pretty good, and we just got to sharpen up. We just got to play like these guys are able to play, and they got to believe that they got to put the effort forward, and then they got to believe when they get out there they're going to find a way to do it. Because I sure believe they're going to do it if they just give us the effort and come to play. When you got to coach effort and practice around a Friday night, you got problems. And today's practice, when I got there was no coaching effort. They were doing a heck of a job.
Good. That's always good to hear, Coach.
That says a lot for my staff and those kids. So we'll see if we can continue that Friday.
So you just need them to show up with fire, ready to go, and just do what your coach is doing. You come out with a victory.
I think we at least have a chance to do that. Yeah, it's pretty simple. The game's not too complicated. We'll get them in the right stuff when we can, and I think they believe in us, and we definitely believe in them. So it's a matter of believing and having confidence and just playing tougher.
Absolutely. Coach, well, thank you so much for your time here
Thanks.
this evening. It's been greatly appreciated, and we're going to be looking forward to hopefully calling you on Friday night, coming up here, talk a little bit about the game.
That would be nice. I would like that. Yeah, I would like that.
And, of course, down the road, we'll be down there in Bowerston for one of your games upcoming as well, and we're looking forward to that.
I really appreciate you guys, your coverage and what you're doing for the area, and it's very nice. Thank you.
Thank you again. And that's head coach for Conotton Valley, Don Hertler Jr., live on the Battle Motors Big Z Sports Extra Point Show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after this.
The Extra Point Show, built by Battle Motors, will be back after this break. Battle Motors, purpose-built, quality-driven.
How does a new career in an extremely high-demand field sound to you? Well, the former Crane Carrier Company in New Philadelphia is now Battle Motors. Battle Motors is expanding rapidly for their all-new heavy-duty electric truck production. Battle Motors has immediate openings for assemblers, electrical technicians, painters, blasters, as well as numerous engineering and design positions. If you're interested in a great career opportunity, apply online at battlemotors.com/careers.
Shenanigans in Dover for your Battle Motors Extra Point Show. Nick McWilliams, Shannon Thomas, and now joining us live here from Dover is senior for Conotton Valley, Damon Reardon. And Damon, you know, you're your sole representative right now for the Rockets, and you had a smile on your face when you came up here, but I promise you there's no reason to be nervous. We're just going to ask you a few questions, all right? Sorry, it would help if I turn that on for you.
Yeah, that would probably help.
So, Damon, you know, Coach just told us about, you know, this year you've been kind of working through some injury stuff, trying to get back there on the field for your senior year. That's got to be frustrating.
It's very frustrating knowing sitting on the sideline when it's a very big game, you know. We lose by 1 point. And it's a very frustrating loss that I really would have liked to be in.
Absolutely. Shannon?
So what positions do you play? So everybody out here knows.
I play wide receiver, corner, and those are my two positions.
So what's your favorite, offense or defense?
I would say offense. More experience, and it's just really fun to be around.
So you're more of the fan, of course. You get to get the haul in the touchdown, not have to go flying all around the field and make the tackles?
Yes.
Really? All right.
Defense is very fun, too. I mean, just being in a lot of the tackles and interceptions, it's pretty fun. Gotcha.
So being a senior, you know, so far, what's been your favorite memory, I guess you could say, from football?
I don't know, man. There's a lot. I don't know.
Put you on the spot too much on that one. I understand.
Well, I mean, probably my favorite memory is when everybody just comes to the sideline and they squirt water on everybody, and it's a big fight usually, but it's pretty funny.
I gotcha.
So is there any superstitions you do on Friday night before the games? Like you got special music you listen to or special socks you wear?
No, I usually wear my wristband. That's a pretty big part. You know, Braylon from last year, it's been a pretty big part of me. I usually listen to music and usually just have some M&Ms as my pregame snack.
Some M&M, that's your go-to pregame snack? Not on the sideline, though, right?
No, not on the sideline. It would be probably very good, though.
So, you know, Damon, it's for you guys, it's been kind of a rough start, you know, 0-3, not the start you guys wanted to be out on. But how have you felt at practice? You know, Coach Hertler said that he thought things had been moving in the right directions. You guys seem very focused today at practice.
This week we've been very focused. Our tempo's definitely moved up. I've expressed to our players that we need to keep our tempo up in the huddle and really work on our game. You know, newcomers down, that wasn't us. It's not how we play. But I feel like we can definitely take it one game at a time and get better every day. That's what we preach.
So are you more of a vocal senior leader, or was it just this week that finally you said now it's time to step up and just like, listen, this is what we got to do?
I'm a vocal senior, but I felt like I've definitely stepped up this week and been more vocal to our guys. I feel like we need to hit the gas pedal a little bit more than we have been. So.
Now, outside of football, this is something that Travis, somebody from our sports show, asked last week, and I really like this question. So, in school, what is your favorite subject and your least favorite subject?
I'd say math is probably my favorite.
Okay.
And I'm going to be blunt, I hate English.
You hate English?
I hate English. I don't like it.
Now with math, do you want to use something with that for maybe in your future after graduation?
Yes, I will probably be going to civil engineering, industrial engineering, and plan on going to college after high school.
That's a pretty big leap, and I'll agree with you. I hated English in school too. I think we called it language back then. It was so long ago. I'm right with this kid, man. I hated that class. But so what other sports do you play at Conotton Valley?
Just about everything. I play basketball, football. Well, obviously football, but baseball, track, and that's about it. I lift in the off season and during the season.
So during the spring, you do track and baseball at the same time?
Well, I haven't. I took a break from baseball for the last couple years. I just came back to baseball last year.
Right.
But I plan on doing both this spring. So.
Staying busy, I guess you could say.
Yes.
So now, also outside of the classroom, even then, what is your favorite sport to watch? You know, just maybe professional sport to watch.
I'd say the NFL. keep pretty up to date on that.
Favorite team you got?
Oh, Philadelphia Eagles, man.
Philadelphia, okay.
Wow. Yes, fly Eagles fly.
Favorite Eagles player then?
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts, okay.
I'd say my second would probably be Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown.
All right.
Third.
So a true wide receiver then is where he's going with that.
Yes.
And a true football player, or he knows who his players are. Some kids are like, oh, I just like this team because their colors are black and gray.
Because they won a Super Bowl at some point, in the past few years. But Philadelphia, I like that though. Yeah. I got a buddy from college who was from Philadelphia and was a huge Eagles fan, and we always messed with him on that. But I'm going to say, you know what? I found another Eagles fan. You should be happy about that.
Yes.
Now, for college sports, you watch a lot of college football?
No, but I've recently started getting into it, watching it more. I can learn from their experience and how they play, and it's just a good experience for me to learn. So.
Definitely. I was going to ask if you watched the game on Saturday with Ohio State.
I did. I did watch that game.
Now, did you pick up any pointers from that one?
Not too much. I just picked up on, how the corners play. They mix it up, press, and then they play cover two.
Okay.
And then wide receivers, how they get off the ball, make it able to catch. There's some tough catches in there. I love seeing their tight end's pretty good. I love seeing how they get open and catch the ball.
So you're thinking about going to college afterwards for engineering. Is there any sport that you're thinking about maybe trying when you get to college, or are you just going to go work on your education and your career?
I'd say education is pretty important, but that's obviously my first step. But I would love to go play football. That's always been my go-to. If that doesn't work out, basketball is my second go-to. So.
Now, outside of just the math thing, tell us with that civil engineering idea, what's kind of inspired you to do that?
Just bridge building, and I just love doing the math. I love building something and designing something and seeing the outcome of my project. It always puts a smile on my face to see something succeed.
Now, Damon, you kind of mentioned with what you said in practice this week. With your team, trying to keep them or get them fired up, maybe keep them focused, looking ahead to Strasburg week. What has been your guys, or at least in your opinion, what you guys need to improve upon in order to get a win this week?
There's definitely a lot of things that we can do, but mostly get our energy up. It was very low, newcomers down. I think we could focus on not taking anybody lightly. We just thought. Everybody thought, hey, it's newcomers down, But I didn't take it very lightly. Obviously, everybody else thought we could take them lightly, but that's something we can't do with any opponent.
Yeah, like I said, you take somebody lightly, and it'll come back to bite you real quick.
Yes.
So, going forward here the rest of the season, not team goals, what's your goals? What's your goals as a player and as a senior?
My goal is to help out the team as much as possible. I'd love to get some more receiving yards. I've been out for a couple of weeks, still trying to deal with an injury, but I've learned to play through it and adversity, so I really want to help on defense. I watch film every day, just about 30 minutes, even 10, 15 minutes during class, really helps. So.
Absolutely. Well, Damon, thank you so much for your time and coming down here and talking with us about a little bit about Rockets football. I know we're going to be real excited on Friday nights to be seeing you tearing it up out there, getting back in there from injury.
Yes,
we want to see a couple touchdowns, all right?
I do too.
Is there anybody you'd like to say hi to or say thank you to before you leave?
I'd love to say hi to my family. They've been very supportive along the way. My grandpa, I love seeing him come out to my games sometimes when he doesn't want to and it's not feeling well. I like to say hi to my girlfriend. She's been a very big supportive in this. So.
See, he took Shannon's advice and he went with the girlfriend. Always a good idea.
But have you noticed that every show that we go to, the wide receiver always has a girlfriend?
It's always the wide receivers, man. I don't know what it is.
So you young kids out there, being quarterback might not be the good thing. You might have to go to wide receiver if you want a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Damon approved. Well, thank you again, Damon. We'll be looking forward to seeing Conotton Valley getting that win column, and we'll be down there week 6 to cover your guys' game, and we're greatly looking forward to it.
One at a time.
Absolutely. Damon Reardon for the Conotton Valley Rockets here live on the Battle Motors Extra Point Show. Don't go anywhere. Nick McWilliams, Shannon Thomas will be wrapping things up following this break.
The Extra Point Show, built by Battle Motors, will be back after this break. Battle Motors, purpose-built, quality-driven.
How does a new career in an extremely high-demand field sound to you? Well, the former Crane Carrier Company in New Philadelphia is now Battle Motors. Battle Motors is expanding rapidly for their all-new heavy-duty electric truck production. Battle Motors has immediate openings for assemblers, electrical technicians, painters, blasters, as well as numerous engineering and design positions. If you're interested in a great career opportunity, apply online at battlemotors.com/careers.
Williams, Shannon Thomas, wrapping things up on what's been a lovely evening talking about the Conotton Valley Rockets football program and, of course, all of their athletics going on this fall. I always greatly enjoy talking anything Conotton Valley. There's just a lot of excitement and energy going on down there in Bowerston.
Yeah, they got a lot of good things going on out there. And like you said, that Rocket Center, that's a community thing. You know, they're going to have a preschool in there. The admin offices are going there. There's going to be a bowling alley and stuff in there. So a lot of good things going on out there at Conotton Valley. And it gets the kids excited. It gets them, you know, it gets them out of their bedroom playing Fortnite and stuff. There's things to go do. You know, when you live that far out, sometimes it's hard to find things to do. With that Rocket Center, it really helps that community out.
Playing Fortnite. Shannon, are you sure that's what the kids are still playing these days?
I'm not sure what anybody plays anymore.
Well, and of course, we have to give a major shout-out and a major thank you to Shenanigans here in Dover for all their hospitality this evening. A reminder, on Friday nights throughout the entire high school football season, they will be keeping their grill open until midnight. So after you're leaving a game and you want to grab a bite to eat, there's no better place to go than Shenanigans. Staying open late just for you. And, you know, as that steak hoagie, as I saw Shannon Thomas have, might be a good option for you.
Well, that steak hoagie was very good, and I highly recommend it. But now I'm looking out here at these people eating these wings, and I'm wondering if my dessert should be wings.
some wings for dessert. That might be a new one, but, you know, you could possibly do it. Anyway, back to the task at hand with Conotton Valley. We kind of mentioned this a little bit with Coach Hertler, but we will run down their remaining schedule here after 3 weeks. Heading into week 4, as was mentioned, they'll be playing at Strasburg. They'll be taking on the Tigers in kind of an older school, an older edition rivalry. And, you know, for both these teams, both searching for a win this year, Shannon, nothing to lose in this one. You expect both of them to lay it all out on the line.
No, and after last week's game with Newcomerstown, you know, that's game film right there that, you know, Strasburg's looking at very hard right now. And they got a very good young quarterback up there. They got some young players that are just as hungry to win. So no matter what that score was last year, this game could go either way.
It definitely could, and we're greatly looking forward to that. We'll be keeping close tabs on that one. Of course, they're also taking on Bridgeport, who last year finished 3-6, and as Coach Hertler said, off to a 3-0 start, so can't mess around with that Bridgeport team. Then you start your playoff gauntlet with Caldwell coming up next now, or following that Bridgeport game. Now, Caldwell last season, Shannon, if you remember correctly, Conotton Valley was hanging tough with them throughout and just ultimately came up just a little bit short. I'm sure the Rockets are hungry for redemption.
Yeah, that was a game we were all watching, keeping an eye on last year because it was just a real tough, gritty game. And like you said, at the end, Caldwell ended up coming out on top. Then they go to another new opponent, two new opponents back-to-back in Frontier and Manchester, who they've never played, so they'll have to watch film and see what they can figure out about those two teams.
Now, point of clarification, not Akron, Manchester. Manchester, I think it's a team from down by Cincinnati or something like that.
Yeah, and if I remember right, I heard they're meeting halfway. They're meeting in the middle somewhere around Columbus and playing.
Okay. I hadn't heard that, but I would believe you on that one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're meeting halfway somewhere along the line.
Well, then they will be traveling all the way over to Steubenville to take on the Central Catholic Crusaders, and they will round out their year at home against the Weirton Madonna Blue Dons. So, as was mentioned, by far not an easy schedule by any means. But, for Conotton Valley, what the vibe I got from them tonight, no panic in there. We know what we need to do, and we're going to correct it, and we're going to get out there and get in the win column.
You don't become a Hall of Fame coach by panicking and waving the white flag. He knows what these boys need. He's going to coach them, and like I said, it's going to be up to them to step up and bring the excitement, bring the fire. Like, he can only coach them what they got to do on the field. But when it comes to the mentality stuff, they got to bring it themselves.
Well, we'll definitely see what Conotton Valley has for Strasburg coming up. Well, this coming Friday, I guess, as we'll see which team ultimately gets their first victory this season. That will do it for this edition of the Battle Motors Extra Point Show. I guess week 3, technically, of the Extra Point Show, leading into week 4 of the football season. You ever figure how that gets confusing?
Yeah, I get looking at these schedules sometimes, and I don't know where I'm at or where I'm supposed to be. It's a good thing Adam sends out remind emails, and he texts me every once in a while, and he keeps me going in the straight line. So I had to thank Adam for that one.
So today we get a thank you to Battle Motors, a thank you to Shenanigans, and a thank you to Adam Soweski for keeping everybody in line, of course, and a big thank you to Lydia Brady for Claxon Communications, pushing all the right buttons today, making us look as good as she possibly can on camera. Nick McWilliams, Shannon Thomas signing off for now. Of course, we'll be back with another edition of the Extra Point Show on Wednesday night in a city near you, talking about one of your favorite area teams. Of course, the Big Z Sports Show back this Friday night, leading up to play-by-play presentation of high school football. Don't go anywhere. Check out Big Z Sports on our social media pages, and be sure to tune in anytime we've got a live stream up on our YouTube channel. So long, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Big Z Sports Extra Point Show, powered by Battle Motors, purpose-built, quality-driven. Tune in this Friday starting at 5 p.m. for the most comprehensive high school football show in the area, Big Z Sports.